Welcome to the Visualize Meditations podcast, hosted by your gal pal, Sasha, a Chopra certified meditation teacher, athlete, and adventurer. This is a place where high performance and health meets fulfillment and fun. Each week, I'm bringing you guided visualization meditations and honest solo sessions where I share personal development, my most unhinged stories, and intimate interviews. Whether we're chatting wellness, achievement, or building an aligned community, we're here to create the life of your dreams and have an absolute blast doing it. Hello. Welcome back to your favorite, the one, the only, the Visualize Meditations podcast with your gal pal Sasha. What the hell is up? How are you guys? Personally, I'm out here living my best life. We are thriving. I'm obsessed with Venice Beach. I can't talk about where I'm going next, but I am bopping locations, but I have decided that I'm coming back. This place is too magical for me to not come back, so I will be coming back here and moving here. I don't want to say permanently because life is long and I'm probably going to get the travel bug at some point, sometime, or will want to bop locations or will want to be in multiple locations through the year. You know what? Life is long. But I am planning on coming back to Venice because I am so happy here. I love who I am here. I love this environment. And I've been filling out my wheel of life. If you guys haven't listened to the Mastermind Moments podcast with my best friend Josh Glanville, go ahead and listen. But things are just all feeling really great right now. But that's just like kind of general life update. Things are going great. Moving towards my goals. Things are feeling really good. I'm taking big, bold, brave, beautiful action. And something that's kind of been coming to mind for me is I've been doing some things recently that are really reminding me of a younger version of myself. And it makes me ask the question, are we the happiest when we're doing things that make our inner child happy? So recently, I have been picking up tennis again, which I've picked up on and off through my life. For background, I started playing tennis when I was 6 years old. I went to tennis camp every single summer. I played competitively growing up. I don't remember when I started competing, maybe like 9 or 10. And I competed all the way through high school. And then I took about a 5-year break. And when I moved to Miami, I ended up picking it up again. But since I've been traveling, I haven't really been playing. Obviously, I went to all 4 of the major Grand Slams. Last year, I ended up going to 3 out of 4 plus the Miami Open. Huge part of my life. And I started picking that up again. And I'm like, wow, it feels so good to pick up something that just feels like second nature to me. And later that day, I ended up picking up a guitar. And for context around that, I played guitar from the ages of 8 through 18. It was so freaking cute. I had a pink guitar. I got that shit for my 8th birthday. Oh my God. I loved it. So I played for about a decade. And honestly, I didn't practice enough during the time to really hone in any skills. But, you know, I can hit a chord progression and I can slap Blackbird by the Beatles because that's the only thing that my muscle memory still remembers. But I picked up a guitar later that night and I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm 13 again, playing guitar and piano. And it feels really good to kind of get back in touch with things that made my younger self or inner child happy. And this has kind of been coming up in my life quite a lot. I did a mastermind recently, and something in the mastermind, one of the exercises in the mastermind was to write down a list and brainstorm every single thing you've ever been into or obsessed with or just loving. And I'm going to read through that list just so you guys have a little bit of background on me, but also I promise it's going to come into play later. Number 1, you're going to get to know me a little bit. And number 2, you'll start to see themes and patterns. And also we're going to see how it's kind of, some of this is connecting to my life now, which is so wild to think about. But, all right, let's give it a roll, all right? Now, they are in no particular order, but you will see themes and patterns pop up, all right? So, gymnastics. Did that for summer camp before tennis camp. Dance. Or did ballet and tap and jazz, maybe. Tennis, we established 20 years. Soccer, super into that. Oh my God. I used to make duct tape wallets and sell them to kids at schools or give them to kids at school. I used to make bracelets out of can tops and sell those to people at school. I used to make paper envelopes and sell them to kids at school where you could put your notes in them. I was in this business club at school called DECA. I was super into fashion blogging when I was in high school. I would tutor kids in high school. I was super into travel growing up. Really loved live music and concerts. Music festivals started coming really into my life in my late teens. Merchandising, making things look visually really beautiful, especially clothing. Gilmore Girls. Oh my God, enough said. Trying new food, exploring, working out, red carpet fashion, running, not drinking alcohol. I did that for the year 2023. Makeup, which is something I've been more recently into working in the beauty industry. Painting, I got into later in life. Reading, personal development, that whole thing started when I was about 13. Digital nomading, I've been doing that for about a year and a half. Music, so people are always like, what's your taste in music? This question is so vague because I like such a variety of music, but it's kind of ranges quite a lot. But just music in general, listening to music. So I play guitar, I played piano, fashion, French, I studied French. I was into boys, still sometimes I am. Just like groups of friends, having a tribe, having a group of friends. Tony Robbins, I got into when I was 13 years old. The Tony Robbins summer camp called GYLS. Photography, TV, performing, big cities, sustainability, that came into play more when I was 18. Sustainable fashion, that's what I studied in school. Marathon, I ran one marathon in 2023, never again. Challenging myself annually, again, I started that in 2023. I have a whole podcast episode about that. Community living, I've done it a couple of times. I just love it. Community in general, call her daddy. Writing, disco ball, plants, my friends, just playing games, talking. This one's actually so funny now that I have a podcast, but when I was in preschool, they used to have a rule where no one could talk until it was a certain time at lunchtime because I apparently wouldn't shut the fuck up and wouldn't eat my lunch, which is still true to this day. I can yap and yap and yap. I mean, clearly, right? I have a fucking podcast and I talk into a mic to a tripod all the time. So clearly I can talk and love talking. Going to the pool. I'm such a pool baby. Love to sit by the pool. It's my favorite activity. Same thing with the beach. Going to sporting events and games. Love going to sporting events and games and tournaments and things like that. Denim, again with the fashion. Retail, styling, singing, mostly in the car or on my bike or in the shower. Parks, going to parks. Oh, Central Park, Sheep Meadow Park is the best park spot ever. Parties, drinking. Well, a point in time, fitness, health, entrepreneurship, DJing, getting into that now, surfing, snowboarding, podcasting, the Unwell Network, solo travel, meeting people, the game We're Not Really Strangers, crystals. All right, y'all, we're like halfway through, and you're just giving you everything I've been ever obsessed with. Organizing things, daydreaming and having like visions, taking action, making crazy to-do lists, routines, yoga, meditation, Pilates, lighters, weed, smoking, sitting in the sacred smoke circle and having the best conversation ever, my long distance friendships, the wheel of life, we just chatted about this earlier, my long distance friendships, flings, hookups, sex, kink, journaling, bullet journaling, vision boarding, events, planning events, bringing people together, flaneuring, which means wandering, cold plunges, sauna, massages, coffee, interiors, making playlists, planning trips, sales, mocktails, throwing parties, selling clothing, wellness, walking, going to the gym, design, luxury, psychology, adventure, cliff jumping, bungee jumping, skydiving, FaceTiming, phone calling, voice messaging, giving the best pep talks of all time, social media content, customer experience, skincare, nails, trying new things, baking, cake decorating. I was super into that when I was like 12 or 13. Reading book series, mainly Harry Potter, Twilight, and Hunger Games. Plants, speakers, like music coming through speakers, aesthetics, card games, time efficiency, side hustling, boutiques, sweets and crazy desserts, rebounding, so jumping up and down on a mini trampoline, sleep health, video montages, playing dress up, watching the sunset, looking at the sky, my health, listening to podcasts, Tumblr back in the day, and this is in high school, beauty, mood boards, Pinterest, going for walks by the water, coffee walks, and hiking. This is everything I've been obsessed with since before I was born. And you can definitely see themes and patterns here, right? So movement has definitely been a part of that, and athletics has definitely been a part of that. Design and aesthetics have always been a part of that. So with my fashion and painting and stuff like that, achievement and personal development has always been a part of that. As you can see with the Tony Robbins, the to-do listing and the working and the sales and everything else, and podcasting. Definitely music is a huge through line there. Listening, DJing, live events, concerts, things like that. And it makes me think now where all of these things show up in my life where it's, wow, all of these things I used to want as a child and I look at now and I'm like, wow, like I'm really just doing things to make my inner child happy. Okay, I loved talking, so now I'm talking into a mic, or I loved fashion blogging and now I'm taking content all the time and fashion's just incorporated into it. Or my movement is such a big part of me and my brand and I'm still into this movement now. With my achievement, it definitely comes into entrepreneurship and sides of that. With my relationships are the most fulfilling thing in my life. My friends and family are the most important relationships in my life. And right now my romance is going great, but in general, my romantic life has always been a huge piece of my life. My relationships have always been huge. And I see these through lines and see these patterns, and I sit here now and I think about, wow, all this stuff I'm doing now, my younger self would be so thrilled and so happy. And at the end of the day, are we not just doing things to make our inner child happy? And if we're not, should we be? And the answer is fucking yes. The answer is yes. Do the shit that makes your inner child happy. Take some time and think about, what did I used to be obsessed with as a kid? Is any of that is showing up in my life now? Let's think about if it's showing up in our life. And if it's not, how can we incorporate things into our lives that would make our younger selves happy? Think about the things that you used to love as a child, things that used to light you up, and you'd be working on something and time would just go by and you would just forget. I wouldn't even call it working. You were playing or you were doing something that time would just continue, go on and on and on, and you could have just continued on forever. And it's like you're in this flow state. We did that so naturally as a kid. We knew the things that were lighting us up and we'd spend time doing those things and time would just pass. And naturally, because you enjoy it so much, you put more work into it, right? So you'd hone in on these skills and get better and better and better at something. So I'd urge you now to think about, okay, like, where is this showing up in my life? What am I doing to make my current inner child happy? And how can I invite more of that into my life? Is there a hobby that I've always wanted to pick up that I've never picked up? Or is there an old hobby that I put down that I kind of miss? When was the last time you picked up an old hobby that you used to love as a kid, or maybe played with an old toy, or, you know, something that you used to love as a kid that's showing up now in your life? When was the last time you encountered that? And if you have, didn't it feel really good? Shouldn't we spend more time doing those things to just light us up and bring us joy and bring us ultimate fulfillment? Because these through lines in our lives are so beautiful to see, to know that at the core you're still the same person, but it might just be evolutions of who you are and who you become. And I really just urge you and encourage you to sit in this zone of genius whenever you can, because that's where your best work is going to come from. That's where your deepest fulfillment is going to come from. That's where everything feels like play. And it's just so fun. And you can hustle more because you're enjoying it so much that you can work on it more. You know, in general, I think you could apply this to any area of life. For example, health might be a great area to apply. Maybe you hate working out. Unlikely if you're listening to this podcast, because I know my listeners are movement oriented, but let's say, for example, you don't like working out. What are movement types? What are ways that you used to love moving as a kid? Like, did you play a sport as a kid, or did you have any hobbies as a kid? Could you pick something that up again? That would be so epic. I didn't think about the entrepreneurship side of things until way later in life, but it's so funny that I used to spend my time making things for kids in school. Like, I used to make duct tape wallets and paper envelopes and can top bracelets and have these like groups in school, and like would just give things to kids or sell things to kids. And I think that's so cool that like entrepreneurship is such a huge part of my life now. Like all the sports that I used to love as a kid, now I feel like they show up in different ways. Like, I think the gymnastics now shows up in more yoga and calisthenics, or I think that my love of tennis is still coming through today. Music, for example. Like, I'm getting more into sound meditation and creating that, and getting more into DJing and creating sound and music in general. Still a huge part of my life. Like, I want to get into live events and doing things like that, and that just feels really cool. And same thing with dance. I still dance every day. Another huge one is doodling for me. I don't know about you guys, but I was that girl where I could not leave a page in my binders or textbooks or notebooks without a little doodle in the corner, or flowers or eyes or anything. I just could not stop doodling. And now it's such a huge part of who I am now, with the chalkboards I like to do and the whiteboards I like to do and like the doodles all over my branding. Like, how can I just make it more fun again? It reminds me of being a kid. French has always been a huge through line in my life. I started studying French when I was 11 years old. When you went into 6th grade, for me, you had a choice between Spanish and French. I really wanted to learn French. My dad really wanted me to learn Spanish. I ended up signing up for French and then switching it back to Spanish. But when I showed up to school the first day, I was in the French classes. And by the time they were able to make the switch, I'd kind of already made friends, and I was kind of already loving French class. So from when I was 11 all the way through college, I studied French not to ace the test. I studied French to learn the language. I ended up doing a French exchange program my freshman year of high school. I lived with a girl and her family for 2 weeks in Paris, and she lived for 2 weeks with me and my family outside of Philly. We're still friends to this day. I work for a French beauty brand. I'm about to, be departing from that job, but I love them so much. And like, that's a huge piece of my life. I've lived in France twice. I lived there in 2018 for 4 months, and then I've just lived there again this past summer. It's just been an important piece of my life, and I just love how something I cared about so much as a kid is like showing up in my life now. Here's what we should take away from this entire episode of me babbling on about my hobbies that I've loved since I was a kid. Number 1, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Sasha. These are all the things I've been obsessed with since I was a child. And number 2 is maybe we should spend more time paying attention to our inner child. Are we not just doing things to make our inner child happy? What did you enjoy most as a kid? What felt like play? How can you incorporate that into your life more? And it reminds me of a question that I've been asking on the podcast since I started interviewing people, which is there a childhood dream that still lives within you? And I'd encourage you to ask yourself that question. Is there a childhood dream that still lives within you? And can you go chase it? The answer is yes. And let's fucking go. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this cute little cheeky solo. And if you guys could please follow, subscribe, like, comment, leave reviews. It means the world, means more than you know. It's actually cool. Like, I'm actually developing relationships with some of you guys and friendships with some of you guys. And I just love talking to you and hearing about you, because podcasting can be very, very one-sided. So I want to make sure that it's a two-way conversation. So chat with me on social media. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I'm around for you guys and would love to have a two-way conversation. You guys ask me questions, I'll give answers, and we'll just have a chat. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and we'll catch you guys next week for a really, really cool special episode, a 2-part special episode with some cool guests next week. I hope these episodes are coming out then. But if not, you'll see it eventually. And we'll catch you guys next week on the Visualize Meditations podcast. Okay, bye. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and aligned. Make sure you're following the show so you never miss out on our weekly meditations or solo chats. I love connecting with you guys. Let's talk on Instagram and TikTok at Visualize Meditations, and we will catch you guys next week on the Visualize Meditations podcast. Bye.